Heart to Heart, a Catholic media ministry, presents Ornaments of Grace, stories for Advent and Christmas. Today's ornament of grace for Tuesday of the third week of Advent is St. Rose Philippine Duchesne. From the book of the prophet Zephaniah. For then will I remove from your midst the proud braggarts, and you shall no longer exalt yourself on my holy mountain. But I will leave as a remnant in your midst a people humble and lowly, who shall take refuge in the name of the Lord. In 1769, Rose Philippine Duchesne was born to a prominent family of Grenoble, France. The parish her family attended welcomed missionary priests who served in Louisiana, colonized by the French. Rose listened and wished she too could serve the Native Americans. Later, this desire would be realized, but it took a long time. When she was around 12, Rose was sent to a monastery to be educated by the Visitation nuns. When Rose's father found out that she was becoming enamored with monastic life, he brought her home to be tutored. Yet Rose's desire to enter religious life did not go away. In 1788, she entered the Visitations against her family's wishes. Just 4 years later, revolutionaries shut down the monastery during the French Revolution's reign of terror, scattering the nuns. Rose returned to live with her family in a country home, trying to remain faithful to the Visitation rule of life, while caring for her family, prisoners, and others impacted by the reign of terror. When Napoleon came to power in 1801, Catholics were again allowed to practice their faith openly. Rose returned to the monastery only to find it practically destroyed. By this time, most of the nuns were elderly and found it difficult to live there. Rose, now the superior, had only 3 companions. In northern France, Madeleine Sophie Barat, founder of the Society of the Sacred Heart, had an active order educating young women. Wanting to establish a community in Grenoble, southeastern France, Barat was introduced to Rose by her spiritual director. The women agreed to merge their communities, since they shared a common educational ministry. After the Napoleonic Wars, Barat sent Rose to establish a convent and open a school in Paris. A bishop from Louisiana visited the convent in 1817, seeking religious to teach the Native American and French children of his diocese. Rose's childhood desire was reawakened, and she asked Barat to send her there. Rose, with 4 other sisters, went to New Orleans in 1818. After a 10-week trip at sea, they arrived to find the bishop had arranged no housing for them. So, taking a steamboat up to St. Louis, Missouri territory, they settled in nearby St. Charles. There they established the first free school west of the Mississippi, a simple log cabin. A year later, the bishop moved them to Florissant, Missouri, where they opened a school and novitiate. Many settlers were very poor, and the new foundation struggled. The sisters had to learn English and suffered from the cold and poor housing. They lacked money for school, convent, and novitiate needs, and often went hungry. Still, by 1828, the group had established 6 communities and were operating several schools. Asked by the Jesuits to join them in educating the Potawatomi in Kansas, the sisters went enthusiastically. Rose, now elderly, could not teach there because she could not master their language, but she was sent to pray. This is what she did until she became too feeble and returned to St. Charles. There, in a cramped room under a stairway, she lived the rest of her life. Blind, weak, with little companionship, she felt no human or divine consolation. Still, Rose Philippine Duchesne faithfully sought refuge in the Lord until she died at the age of 83. Saint Rose Philippine Duchesne is today's ornament of grace. Observing the beautiful ornaments. How can faith help us seek refuge in the Lord and trust in His love, even when we feel like a failure, are fearful, or suffer sickness?